Hey guys, so this is actually my first tutorial, so bear with me as I'm learning recording audio and editing videos, and also I have a baby swing going on in the background, so I hope that doesn't bother you. So I did already use a layer just to kind of give some contrast to the image and to add some more color and to brighten it up. I do go through and click to see the difference and to adjust the opacity to what I like. And I'll always check to see how much I need to brighten it up. Sometimes I add some opacity, sometimes I take some away. Once I go through all the layers, I just use the master layer to see if I like it. So now I'm going through to pick which actions I want to play. And now here I'm just going to go and edit her skin. She really doesn't need much done. I just see some discoloration and maybe a few imperfections on her cheekbone there. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that out for her just because I want her to feel her best whenever she looks at these images, even though she's already just gorgeous. And I'm going to get her hands too. Sometimes those can be forgotten. We don't want to forget those. And now I'm just going to check and see the difference to see if I need to adjust the opacity, and I do not. And now I'm going in with a skin tones action that I have, and I'm just going to add this first tone to her shoulders right here because they are kind of purple, which later I do go back and I fix this even more. I just kind of waited to see how her skin changed along the editing process to do a final adjustment. And her neck is kind of dark, so I do lighten that up at some point too. And I actually noticed that the action wasn't working, and sometimes what I have to do is push Control I to invert it, as you see here, and then I just change it back and then it starts to work again. And I do turn it up to 100% just so I can see where I'm applying it, and then I will adjust it once I have it applied fully over her skin. Okay, now I'm just seeing what opacity I like it best at. This is just personal preference. And then I zoom out and I kind of check it there too because sometimes it looks different. And now I'm going to go in with skin highlights and select which one I want to use because I have multiple ones. And I like to zoom in so I can seal it better, and I get that cheekbone and the shoulder, pretty much just anywhere that you'll see makeup artist highlight. Not the hair obviously, but I mean on the skin. So I do get the hair just to get that extra pop. And sometimes I even add it to like their clothes, or if there are flowers, just anything I want to highlight because it's good for a lot of things. And here I'm just kind of doing it just to show you what I'll do. I'm not really neat whenever it comes to it all the time, just because I don't feel like it has to be. Obviously, I'll do it neatly if I need to. And now I'm going to go in with my Dodge brush, which I have it in order the way that I've always done it, but lately I've been debating if I should do my Dodge and Burn last, even after all of my background adjustments, but I'm still kind of just playing around with that. I'm always changing things. Alright, so I'm going to start off with her dress, and I'm just highlighting everywhere that's already bright. I hit the knee and I hit the top of those wrinkles on the dress just to make it pop even more. If you want to be more particular, you can always zoom in. I just find that I don't always have the time for that. Now, if I have one image, it's like, the star image of the whole gallery, then maybe I'll take my time. Or if I want to add it to my portfolio, then I really take my time. And that sounds bad. I don't mean I don't edit every image the best I can for my clients. Like, they love their images, and if there's anything they don't like, I'll go in and fix it. So now I'm just highlighting the highlights of her hair. Later I do fix her hair. There is kind of a weird cast on it, but I'm not worried about that at this point. And now I'm just highlighting some things in the background. Honestly, don't know why I highlighted those flowers. Sometimes I go overboard. And I do hit the water. I just like a lot of contrast between the light and the dark in the background. Those leaves back there are pretty dark, so I did get them. And I wanted to get the mill just because I feel like it was kind of blending in a little bit more than I like. So I get that pretty good. And again, I'm just a little messy because, nothing is perfect in nature, so as long as if it looks good to the eyes, then I'm good. And you can see the difference throughout the whole image. And I do always check to see if there's anything that I want to adjust. And now we're going to go in with the burn brush. Alright, so we're going to start off with her dress, and I just get the shadowed area, so now the dark part of the wrinkles. And this just really helps add more depth, which, I can already tell, so you probably can too. And I'll also use it like on the sides of the arms, or just areas I kind of want to hide a little bit more, because, dark colors kind of tend to help hide those. So like the chin area, sometimes I'll hit the jawbone, or not the jawbone, the cheekbone, to get some depth there. Just anything that I would kind of do for myself. But I'm never drastic, just so I don't really change how the client looks. And I really don't use a Dodge brush too much. So now I'm just sharpening up the eyes. And I do have a green action that changes the green just a little bit, and it just flattens everything for me. And this is really where all the coloring starts to change. I just have red all throughout the image added. Another action that I love is Impressionism by Greater Than Gatsby. That's where some of my actions have came from, and then some I've just made on my own. If you ever have any questions, I I can always show you some actions, not the ones I bought, but just any of the ones that I've made. And you can see the difference. It just kind of brightens it and warms it up. I use it all the time. And now I add some more of my rusty action, and I just love how this looks. And now I'm just going through to see if there's anything that I do want to add. I really don't see much that I want to add for this picture. I really just go by session to session, because I mean, you don't need to use everything for every single image or even every lighting situation. And if I have extra time, sometimes I like to go through all of my actions to see if there's anything that I want to play with, especially as the season changes. And this time I wanted to play around with fall colors. And I know that I want to kind of bring out the browns in the image, so I chose this color, and I'm just going over the brown areas to give it a pop. I don't leave it at this opacity, I do adjust it. But again, I just leave it at a higher opacity so I can see where I place it. So I'm going to hit that mill, you don't want to forget that. She really loved this location, so I kind of want to keep that in mind for her. This mom was awesome, by the way. Now we're going to check and see how opaque I want that. And I go in, I just kind of see the difference to see if I even like it, which I love it. Just feel like it added that extra pop that I wanted for this picture. And now I did go in with like a red to bring out the red back into the building, because I feel like it was just kind of muted. It was in person too. I don't want it to take away from her or her red dress, so I kept it kind of subtle, but I did make it pop like I wanted to at the same time. And again, I'm just going through to see if there's anything that I want to add, which there's no action I really want to add, so I just kind of went in for, and now here I'm considering if I want to add a flare. So I'm looking at the lighting in the image. You always need to see which direction it's falling. Just look for shadows on her face or just on the grass. So I'm going to lower it and I'm going to check one more time. And you can see her forehead has a lot of light right here, so the light's kind of coming down from that angle. So I'm going to grab this flare, I'm going to bring it to the top. So I'm going to position it based on the light. Sometimes it could be tricky, but as long as if you're pretty accurate, I feel like it's okay. And now I'm going to add a mask to it. And I always get my brush, my black brush, and I take the line off the bottom just because that bothers me some of the time. And then you're going to change it to screen. And again, I'm going to grab my brush at 100% opacity, and I'm just going to take it off of my subject. I already know that I don't want the light on her. I want it on the background, just because in person I know that that area is kind of shaded. So to me it doesn't make sense to have it on her because the grass in front of her isn't shaded either. So the focus is going to be the background, like around the waterfall and that tree that's lit back there. So now I'm just kind of seeing how far I want it to go. I don't really want the mill highlighted, just because again that's a dark area and I feel like it just kind of looks weird with a flare on it. So I'm going to remove all of that and slowly just kind of brush over until I feel like it's placed where I want it to be placed. And as always, I'm keeping that at 100% opacity until I like where it's at, and then I'll bring it down. Sometimes I leave it at 100 if I think it fits the image, but this image, I think it just kind of outdoes her, and I don't want it to take away from her. So I'm going to bring that down, and I like to check to see how it looks, to see if I like it. Which I'm bringing it down some more because I want it to complement and not take away. I especially like to add it in a subtle way whenever they're looking off in the distance, because it kind of gives me a dreamy vibe, and I like that. So usually you'll find those in my pictures. So tell me, do you like the flare? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. Some people don't, some do. I guess it's just preference. It's kind of my style, but sometimes I find that I don't like them. It really just goes, it's really just based on each session. And now I'm going in with curves, and I'm just going to add a mid-tone pop, and that will just kind of brighten up a little bit of everything. I'm going to see if I like it, which it's kind of a bit much for me, so I'm going to bring down the darks. I still don't completely love it, so I am going to adjust the opacity because I want some of it but not all of it. So I'm just going to find my happy place. Now here I'm going to add another curves layer, and I'm going to invert it. And I really just want to focus on her and her dress and her skin, just to make her pop even more. Just because the background is so pretty, I don't want it to fully take away from her. I still want her to be the main focus. And I'm just checking to see if I still want that first curves. There are times whenever I've been staring at the computer for so long that I kind of had to look away and make a decision. My eyes, they get tired. So I decided that I actually don't want that on the dress, so I just took it off with a black brush. And it's really just on her chin. It needed to be brightened up some. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'm going to take a screenshot, or a snapshot as they call it, and I'm just going to see the difference between the beginning and the ending product. And I'm pretty happy with it. You can see there's a major difference. I do tend to shoot just a little underexposed and bring it up. That's just my preference. Sometimes I use off-camera flash, but that's not always an option for me just because it's heavy and it's hard to tote around by myself, and I always get paranoid that people will steal my gear if I walk away from it. So I just shoot underexposed and make sure that my ISO is not too high so I don't get a lot of noise. And that's the final edit, so let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.